listening to Behind the BS, episode 64, with special guest Kevin Long from The Kevin Long Show. Enjoy. What's up, everyone? Mystic Mike here with Behind the BS, Behind the Broadcasting Software, and today's guest is Kevin Long from The Kevin Long Show, a podcast we're going to be talking about today, along with a little bit of D&D as well. How are you doing today, Kevin?
Doing good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Nice, beautiful, sunny day out finally, and going to hit the barbecue as soon as we're done with this.
Oh, nice. Where are you at in Canada?
I am in Alberta.
Okay, so
The West Coast. Well, yeah,
okay,
West
so
Coast,
maybe
yeah.
you are getting our rain. We have had rain for like 10 days, and it was horrible.
Oh, I wouldn't mind a little bit of rain, to be honest, because we just got our lawn fertilized and everything, and it would save me from having to go out and water it every day.
That's fair.
And we're going away for a few days too after this, so if you're gonna rain now, please. After the barbecue, of course.
Yeah, after.
Yeah. So what I get you to do, Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your podcast, and then we'll jump into some questions and kind of go from there.
Okay, so I am the host of a weekly podcast that actually has two shows, one on Monday called Magic Monday, where right now we're going through the Encyclopedia Magica, 2E product that has all the magic items that were produced during second edition and first edition. And then on Thursday, we have The Kevin Long Show, where we talk about D&D and anything associated with it, podcasts, products that are coming out, products that have come out, and just all that good stuff. We focus on D&D. So one show could be 1E stuff, and then the next show could be 5E. I really don't have a format. I just talk about what I want to talk about that week.
That sounds awesome. What is your favorite edition of D&D?
My go-to edition is first edition, because that's where I started. But every edition has its plus and minuses. Even fourth edition, if you look at it as a tactical board game, then there's no problems with it. If you look at it as D&D, then yeah, you're going to have your issues, because it's not Dungeons and Dragons, the role-playing game. It's Dungeons and Dragons, the tactical mini war game. Now, for someone like myself, who's we said before that we started recording, like I'm a total noob. What is the major differences between each edition? Like, could you summarize, I guess, the major editions rather than going into full detail? Oh my gosh.
What are the major differences? Not the whole edition.
Right. So in fourth edition, are that it's totally geared towards video game people. And there's a little bit of that in fifth edition, but the thing I like about fifth is it's kind of going back to its roots. You can use, it just feels more like first edition, where it's loose with the rules. And that's the thing that I like about first edition. These are more like guidelines than they are rules, and you want to do.
Okay.
And there weren't really skills in first edition.
Yeah.
In second edition, they introduced weapon proficiencies and non-weapon proficiencies that later in third edition became your skills and your feats. And it just got bogged down, I felt.
Just added way too much.
Where it's just like, first edition, it's like, hey, can I do this thing? Can you? And it's not like I'm going to roll a perception check. It's, I'm going to, your cleric could do this thing. Fighter couldn't do this thing because he's not tied to the gods the same way a cleric was.
Yeah.
It's just so much playing than role playing.
Okay, I like it. Because I when I started, they're like, oh, you got to get the fifth edition book. And I'm like, but there's 5 editions. I'm like, do I need to like read the first 4 to understand how to play? And they're like, no, we're just going to do fifth edition. And I was like, well, there's a difference. I was like, I thought maybe it was just like, I thought when I bought the little box set, I'm like, oh, it'll be like a book I can read through. It'll be like a story. And I'm like, man, there's so much to learn. It's like going back to school again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And I like the splat books, like Volo's Guide to Volo's Guide to Everything, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and the Volo books. But that's the other thing I like about first edition is there aren't 1.5 million books that you feel a little bit of pressure to buy. There's your basic classes, and that's it.
See, that probably would have been a lot easier for me to start off on then. Some of these
and
books,
don't get me wrong, I like some of the new stuff, but again, I just want to play a bard. Here's how you play a bard.
and see, that's what I wanted. I just like me. I wanted to. Being a noob, I've read a lot of the Forgotten Realms books, like a lot of the Legend of Drizzt and that, and I'm like, oh, I want to be a dark elf. Like I want to be a drow. That's what I want to be. And then I'm like going through the book, and I'm like, man, there's like, how do I play this? Like, he was like a rogue basically, and I guess I want to be like an assassin rogue. And I'm going through, and I'm like, man, there's so much to it. But I eventually just went online and started going through. But I'm like, I got to use the book too. I spent all the money on that book. I better use it, or my wife will kill me.
I understand that.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit more about your podcast. How long have you been doing podcasts for?
So I've been officially with the Southgate Media Group, the people that host my podcast, for 3.5 years. But I was doing an actual play podcast by myself for maybe 1.5 years, and then I just couldn't afford the hosting costs, so I gave it up. So I've been podcasting for about 5 years, but the Kevin Long Show's only been around for 3.5.
Is there anything you wish you would have known when you first started out podcasting that you know now that if you could go back and tell yourself, would you?
I don't think I would go back and tell myself anything, but when I started, I was starting a family at the same time I was doing the podcast, and $20 a month might not be a lot to some people, but when you're providing for a family,
yeah,
I would have just waited until I had more money so I could afford the hosting cost.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm pretty much kind of the same boat now. I mean, we just had a baby. She'll be 3 months next week, and the hosting costs go up and up and up, especially when you're releasing daily. And then if they're like an hour or too long, and then man, I'm like, how do people do this?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is, but it's a lot of fun too.
It is a lot of fun.
What is your favorite thing about doing podcasts? Like, do you prefer doing the solo podcast, or do you prefer doing like interviews, or which format do you prefer?
I'm good with either one. If I could get a co-host, that would be even better, because then I wouldn't just be talking to myself and at my fans. But I could go either way. I really don't have a preference, and I know some people say that you do.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you don't know, like, you're headed in the wrong direction. But this really is one of those things that I'm okay by myself. But if I could get interviews, then that would be great too. Because I guess with interviews, you learn more than a perspective of what Mystic Mike is doing or whoever.
Exactly. Now, I know, have you ever thought of reaching out to D&D streamers and getting them on? Because I know a few that are like, since I started binging a lot of them. And there's a lot out there that you could probably reach out to and get little perspectives from their view as well, and bring in more as well to your show.
Yeah, I'm actually working on reaching out to people right now.
Oh, nice. I could give you a few names of, I don't know if you've heard of Captain Robert.
Haven't.
Oh, I'm addicted because he does about 3 variants of D&D. Like he'll do, I think he does 1 5th edition, and then he does another one where it's like called Saved by the Spell, and it's just like kind of it's so hard to explain, but it's you start watching it and you just can't turn it off. And he'll go on for like, man, I stayed up one night till I think 6 a.m. watching them go, and they have the 4 of them on the screen. They got their cameras up, they got the map up, and they go for like 6-7 hours at a time, and it's just
awesome.
His style of dungeon mastering, I think I'm saying that right, it's just amazing. Like he gets into it so well. He does the voices, the characters, like it's just amazing to watch.
It's really cool. And I think I had this discussion the other day with people. The thing that I don't like about 5th edition and how popular it's becoming is the idea that you have to do voices. Like if you're on a stream, you're doing podcasts, you probably need the voices
Yeah.
because you want people to be engaged. But if you're sitting at your dinner table with 4 other friends, I don't think you necessarily have to feel pressured to be able to do voices or have battle maps or minis or whatever. Just get your book, sit down at the table and roll some dice and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how we're kind of doing ours, because 2 of us are brand new to it and the other 3 have been doing it for years. So for the most part, we're kind of all getting comfortable with each other. And I try every now and then to throw in little voices, but then I'm still so new to it that I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing the voice right or if I'm going too far, because some of the other people aren't doing voices, and I'm like,
That's the thing. The game I run right now, I have a goblin voice, but other things I'm just like, I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah.
It's not adding anything to the game.
Now, do you prefer doing being a DM or being a player?
I would much rather be a player.
I think so. It seems like a lot more work goes into DM.
And I've got stuff up right now that I have published.
Oh, nice.
But I mean, we need DMs. I get that part, but I would much rather play.
I hear you. Yeah. I when I listen to our DM go on and like the stuff he spins and the stories and how he sets the environment, I'm just like, man, I don't think I could do that. Like, I have a hard enough time trying to describe how I shot an arrow at a goblin or something. But I mean, I'm guessing it'll come with time because, like I said, I am totally new to it, but I'm loving it. Like, I love that being able to immerse myself into a whole different character and play it out and just see where everything goes.
Sure.
I love that. What was your biggest inspiration to start podcasting? What drove you to want to start a podcast?
So I started listening to Adam Carolla first. That's what got me into listening to podcasts. And then I found Critical Hit. At the time, they were doing 4th edition D&D. Fun. And I was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
Then I just took one of the adventures I had and started podcasting it.
No, when you started podcasting it, were you doing it from a player's perspective or from a DM perspective?
I was the DM, and I was running a 3.5 Oriental Adventure story.
Nice. Well, I have to go back and listen to some of your older ones. Do you still have? Are those ones still up?
I actually don't have the ones. No, those were the ones that I don't have anymore because I couldn't afford the hosting costs.
Gotcha.
But I think first started with Southgate Media. We were doing there might be like 4 episodes of, but not many because the group dissolved.
Got you. Do you find that hard, like to get a good core group to stick together, or do they or do you stick together for a while and then just as people grow up and life things come up, they kind of move on?
That was the thing. 2 of the players lived half an hour away and were still in school, like high school. So we just couldn't do it all the time.
Yeah.
And then one of the players didn't like another player, so he didn't want to come around. And it just, life and personalities.
Just felt, yeah. Now, do you prefer in-person playing or playing like on Roll20 or something like that?
I prefer in person, but right now I would take whatever I could get, rather it be playing a game or even just podcasting.
Just podcast. Now, when you were podcasting it, did you have the other people in there as well with you, or was it mostly just your voice was the only voice we heard?
Yeah, no, it was everybody.
Oh wow, that would have been awesome to hear. Actually,
yeah.
Did you guys do the voices for that though?
No.
As I said, because to me that's. As a noob anyway, to me that's like the fun part, to see like how in depth the people get with their character and how much backstory they create for them.
Yeah, I think I might have done the voice for the old lady because everybody thought they were escorting this old lady through the mountain pass.
Yeah.
But like at the end, she saved them all because they were going to get their butts handed to them by some goblins.
That's kind of like our story right now. Recently, we're like,
and everybody's like, "Oh, holy crap!"
She's powerful. That's ours right now. We're escorting, I think a halfling called Pimpton or something like that. Pimpling, or I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But the whole time we're like kind of poking fun at him, like, "Oh, you're just a halfling, you're short." Da, da, da. And then when we got our first fight against all these, what was it we were fighting against? Like centipedes. And he pulls out all these like magic bolts and he's going crazy and he like just destroys them all. And we're like, "Oh, looks like you're actually the powerful one here, not us." Here we thought awesome. We were being the heroes and escorting this guy to find his lost love or something, and no, he's probably escorting us. We're just there for fodder, I guess.
That's awesome.
It was definitely a lot of fun. It definitely threw us all for a loop because we did not see that coming. But of course, the DM seen it, and you could see the smirk on his face as things are unfolding, and we're like, "Oh yeah, you've been playing us this whole time." No,
It's always good.
it is. No, when we play, we don't get experience for fights. He gives us what he does is he does we do 3 goals before each session, and depending on the complexity of the goal and how much we complete of it, then he dishes out experience that way. Have you ever played it that way, or do you do mostly experience through fight?
I do experience points. I am running a game right now once a month for everybody. And my original plan was to do experience, but if we did it that way, we would never level up because we only play once a month. So I do milestones for that game, but I usually do experience points.
Okay. Like that. I kind of like the way he's doing it, but at the same time, we just fought an owlbear, and I'm like, oh, I'm going through the book. I'm like, ooh, owlbear gives it a lot of experience, and I'm like, wait, we're not going to get any. Like, oh well. Now I have to really plan my goals out so I make sure I get some sort of experience points throughout the game.
That's my thing. Like with the milestones, you finish this quest, you're level 2 now. But if you do experience points, like if you fight an owlbear, you should get the experience points for that because at 2nd level, an owlbear is a pretty big monster.
Yeah. And that's, if it wasn't for Little Pimpton, we probably would have, one of our characters would have died because he was the only one within fighting range, within melee range. And luckily Pimpton came in with the save and threw out his little, his 4 magic bolts or whatever. I can't remember what they're called. But luckily he saved our butt. Now, what type of character do you typically play?
So for a long time, I was playing the cleric and the paladin because I was the only one in the group that would play them. But now that 5th edition came out and they have the assassin archetype for the rogue, that's where I usually go.
Nice. That's exactly where I went for my first one. I'm like, oh, I like being a rogue, and assassin rogue just sounds so cool.
Yeah.
And then just especially and I played as a drow, so now I have that special the little special stuff as being an elf. Plus, I can see better at night, so it's even better for sneaking around and kind of getting the jump on the bad guys.
The rogue is fun.
Yeah. Now, do you think the character you play reflects your personality as a person, or do you try to impart some of your personal traits onto the character you create?
When I was playing the cleric and the paladin, they were totally a reflection on who I am as a person. But now I play the assassin to get away from that.
Okay. I like that. Do you think there's a social stigma around playing D&D?
Anymore, there's not.
Not anymore. I didn't think so, because I know I see so many people play it, and you think when you watch TV, you see what TV portrays the typical D&D player as, but when you look around now, you see people playing it, and it's like, no, they don't fit that traditional old school stereotype of a geek sitting around with the pimple face, eating pizza pockets type thing. I mean, it could be anyone now.
I mean, even, I don't know, 5 years ago, president who I told in my church group that I played D&D, but now it's like every other week there's a dude that wanders through the halls looking for people to play with him. And I'm just like, this wouldn't fly.
How so?
Well, just because, I don't know, maybe even 5 years ago, there was still a stigma that if you played D&D in church groups, you were going to hell.
Oh, really? It was that intense, eh?
Yeah.
I suppose, though, yeah, they would have looked at it as you're playing the devil's game or something like that.
That's the thing. I was young during the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
I grew up with that stigma that you didn't necessarily tell everybody that you played D&D just because you didn't want to have to answer those questions about demonology and other things that they just naturally thought came with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And I think there are some good things that come with people watching Big Bang Theory and, oh, they play D&D and this is what it's really like. But other things that detract from the spirit of the game.
Yeah, no, I like that. I forgot they played it on Big Bang as well. Actually, thinking about it, it's been so long since I watched that show.
There's been a few shows that have done it, but I think Community did it best the first time they did it.
Community, yes. I remember watching that episode. That one, I've watched that episode many times, and I agree because I remember watching what was his name, Chang. And I was thinking, oh man, I'm going to get all dressed up like a dark elf and go all out like him. But then I'm like, maybe not, because some people might take that really wrong nowadays.
Right.
For him, it's okay because it's a show and we know his character. But I know recently there was a girl who dressed up as, she did cosplay as one of the characters from Apex, I think it was. And she got a lot of heat over it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go that far.
I know there's a character from North by Northwest that I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to paint myself dark,
Yeah.
even though he is a drow.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's so, because I was like, well, maybe if I go like purple, because I mean, you see sometimes some of the books they described him as purple, but then I'm like, nah. I was like, I'm just not gonna even step in that direction. I'm just gonna play my character, and maybe I'll get some funky hair and some elf ears or something, and we'll go as far as that.
Yeah,
I don't want to bring that bad stigma onto myself and the people that are around.
And I would much rather have people jumping down my throat because why? Well, if you're playing this character, why didn't you do this thing?
Exactly.
Then be like, oh, you're a white guy that shame on you.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't need that.
Yeah.
What would you say is the hardest part about playing D&D?
It's not finding a group to play with. It's keeping your group together.
Yeah. And I do find it's even with us, because we meet every Saturday online, and we're all like, one girl's from the UK and the other 3 guys are all from like different parts of the US. And then I'm from Canada. And even that, like every Saturday we meet, but it was so hard to get an appropriate time everyone could be on, because we start at like 9 in the morning my time, but the one guy's on he's PST, so it's 8 a.m. for him. The other 2 are Eastern, so it's like 11 a.m. for them. But then the girl, she's in the UK, and it's like supper time for her. And it was like so hard to find something that worked for us. And even now, like we all come from different walks of life, so things come up that we might miss it. Because right now, like the next 3 weekends, I'll be gone with E3 coming up, and my son's birthday's coming up, so we're going to visit him. And I'm like, I'm gonna miss like the next 3 Saturdays. I'm like, can we segue in somehow that my character went off on a self journey, and we can just record the stuff previous and just play it in, kind of thing? Or then it's like, if not, then the DM plays as the character, and I found we've done that a few times, and it just takes away because the character might not get played properly.
Right.
Do you ever run into anything like that when you're doing your groups, or do you kind of just, if one guy can't make it, you just cancel the whole session?
No. If one guy's going to be gone, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If 2 guys are going to be gone, then I'll cancel it. But one guy, I can, and that's the thing. Like I can be like, hey, Mike, this is what I've noticed from your character. Tell me if I'm wrong. And then when you're gone, I can run the character the way it's supposed to be run.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And that's pretty much what he's been doing lately too. It sucked the first time though, because the very second weekend we did it, we had someone who had to back out because of a family emergency. And then it was really hard then, because the guy was like, I don't know how to play the character yet. I'm going to play it really reserved, and he's just going to sit in the back and not do much right now. It's like,
nice.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
We'll get on to some fun questions now, because I know you were saying before you were waiting for this one. If a genie granted you 3 wishes, what would you wish for and why?
First of all, can I ask for more lamps?
Depends. Is there more than one genie?
Oh, that's what we're going to find out.
Exactly. Gotta make sure you wish for magic lamps, though.
Right. Wish that the wild stallions would come save us all from ourselves. And I don't know the age range of your listeners, but the Wild Stallions are the music group from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yep. I think some of them might get it. Some of them might not.
And the whole idea is we can't let Bill and Ted get separated because their music is what saves humanity.
Exactly. Man, I heard they're remaking that movie.
So we need them to come save us. They're making a 3rd one.
Or a 3rd one. That's right. Yeah. Did they say yet if it's going to be Keanu Reeves and
It is.
It is? Oh wow. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it will be.
And your next 2
I really wish that there were more women, the OSR, in old school gaming.
Yeah.
Just because people complaining about stuff, and I'm just like I had a friend the other day that posted that aside from the game she's in now, she's done with Dungeons and Dragons because it has become so popular with the masses. It's just not fun anymore. And I'm like, well, hey, are, where it still is kind of only the outcast play because it is first and second edition. The people that do that in today's society. And I don't know, everything needs more women.
I agree.
It just
there's not enough. I mean, you got like Lara Croft. I can't even think of any more, to be honest with you, which is really bad. Resident Evil series, strong female role. Tomb Raider. It's really bad. I can't think of many more. I mean, Assassin's Creed Origins kind of had a strong female role, but she didn't play a huge part in it.
Right.
Gosh, I really can't think of any more. That is so bad.
Well, and I think 5th edition is trying. Like they're doing really good at the whole inclusion thing, and need to include everyone. Yeah. Because that's the only way things are going to change.
Exactly. Yeah. In your third wish?
Third wish. Off the tip of my tongue, but I don't necessarily want to share it with everybody. But just a little bit different. That's what I would wish for.
Just a what, sorry?
My life was just a little bit different.
A little bit different.
And just because of the whole inclusion thing and, being accepted for who you really are.
Yeah. It is very hard nowadays. And a lot of people preach all inclusive and all that. And then a lot of times you'll see them kind of renege on it or only include certain parts of stuff.
Right.
But I agree. We definitely, in today's society, we spend so much time trying to, I guess, force our own ideals on everyone else when we should just let everyone be who they want to be and not. I mean, if it doesn't affect you, why do you stress about it? Why worry about it?
Right. And that's like, I get into fights all the time with people of my religion because like last week they were like, what advice would you give people on marriage? And I'm like, I wouldn't. I would be like, this is what I did in my life because I've been married for 12 years today. And this is what I've done. But like, I'm not going to go. Like, if we're trying to save the divorce rate from being so high, we as Latter-day Saints should probably lower our divorce rate before we start telling other people what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It comes to the whole throwing stones at glass houses or whatever. Like,
So I'm just, if you're not hurting yourself and not hurting other people, why does it matter to me?
Exactly. I love it. And we need more people to have that mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
And we need to understand that it's not just we perceive things. Like maybe before even the whole, if it's hurting other people, like figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because let's take it's for a minute. Until you know what the parents are doing to that kid, you can't proclaim that those parents are abusing that kid.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, you may perceive that they're doing something to that kid that is harming them, but maybe go ask them first. Like, get to know them and then decide if what they're doing is harming that kid.
Yeah, exactly. And I know I ran into a problem similar, something like that when I was younger. I think I might have just been starting junior high or just leaving elementary, one of the two. But I remember I came to school once and I was like really upset and someone was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I was like, "Oh, I did something bad and my dad punished me." And then all of a sudden, like 3 days later, child services at the house. And I'm like, "What is going on?" I'm like, my dad punished me. Like I deserved it. I did something wrong.
Yeah.
In my time, like growing up, you got the belt or the spoon or the phone or, I mean, I wouldn't say abused, but it was like, you got the pants pulled down and you got a spank across the butt or a slap across the wrist. And that was the norm. And
yeah,
but I remember like that, just going to school that one day and saying that to one person and all of a sudden it blew into this huge thing. And everyone thought my dad was this monster. And it's like, no, I was the one being a little monster. My dad just did what he had to do. And I learned from it. I didn't do that again.
Right.
I also didn't go to school and tell anyone what that I was being punished either. Cause that was a whole thing.
Right. Cause then, it's you just figure out like what's going on first.
Exactly.
before you make your judgments.
Exactly. And you see that so much on the internet is a breeding ground for that. Everyone jumps down, they jump on the bandwagon and they don't even have all the facts. And then once they get all the facts, you don't hear them saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." They just kind of disappear and
jump onto
the next person.
So that's the one thing I I hate about having a business is you need social media to promote it,
Yep.
but it's just so like I have to admit that I'm so glad that the Twitter I have right now, like you hear all the time, don't check your PMs and don't check your notifications, but I haven't had any problems. Oh, hey, you've got a notification that it's Follow Friday from Mystic Mike, and
Yeah.
I haven't had any problems yet, but I know
It's there.
for D&D stuff, it'll come.
It'll come. Yeah.
And I just don't care.
Yeah. That's it. I've had a few people and I just block, move on. Because I've had some when I posted a picture of my daughter. I think she might have been, at that time, she would have been 3 weeks old. And she had like little baby acne on her face, which is normal. And someone right away jumped on, oh, what's wrong with your child? What did you drag them through the pavement? Blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not even gonna engage you. Block. See you later.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where you're behind a screen and it's easy to be the tough
bravery of being out of range.
Exactly.
That's
you know that person would never say that to someone's face. Never in a million years would someone say that to someone's. Well, I would hope not anyway.
I would hope not, but like that's the one thing that drives me nuts with the internet is like, oh, no, there are a fair amount of people that would do that. Like, I think that's part of what's wrong with today's society is, let me rephrase that. Wrong with my country now is people have an example that I can just say whatever I want and nothing's going to happen to me. Yep. So it doesn't matter if I'm behind a computer screen or in public, I'm going to say whatever I want to say. And if it hurts you, that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing anywhere. Like I see it around in Canada as well now. Like people just, I mean, it's not, I don't go out very often, but when I do, you'll see it maybe once in a while. And it's just, you just got to shake your head and go like, what is going through your head? Like, do you not have a filter? Do you not think before you speak? Like, did your parents not teach you that? I know they taught me.
Right. And I'm getting like, it just frustrates me. And I'm going to get killed one of these days just because I'm fighting back. Like there was this guy at the train station. He ran into me and then called me an N-word.
Yeah.
Hey, first of all, I'm whiter than you are.
Yeah.
Even if it is culturally okay for people of color to use that word, you're not you're not a person of color. So knock it off. And third of all, sweetheart, if this is the man you're with, you should probably go find a different man.
Yeah, definitely. I can't stand going to crowded spaces anymore just for that reason alone. Because so many people, they just walk like they own it, and no one else is around. And it's if they bump into you, well, it's your fault because you're in their space.
Yeah,
no, that's not how.
And no, there's a convention here in Utah that I won't go to anymore because they not only invite people that are problematic, the owner of the convention is problematic, and I just don't support that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I try to stay as far away from negativity and just all that stuff. Like to me, it's like I try to promote positivity as much as I can, and I don't know. To me, I feel like it takes way more energy to be a negative person than it is to be positive. And why someone would want to use all that energy to put people down is beyond me.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, do you have any hobbies that you do besides D&D and podcasting?
Life, like that. That really is my hobby. If you quote unquote want to call it a hobby, like when I'm. Yeah, life is my hobby.
Life's your hobby. No sports, no video games, nothing like that.
I only play video games with my kids, but now they're old enough to be able to play role-playing games, so we do that.
Ooh, I can't wait till my son's old enough to do that.
And like I did sports when I was younger, but now I have a bad knee from playing sports, and it's just not worth the effort. And again, like church ball.
Yeah,
is horrible.
Horrible as in everyone is terrible, or it's for like really competitive?
Like it's really competitive, and therefore people are terrible to each other.
Yeah.
Like my favorite, like, is we say a prayer before we play that we won't have fights and stuff. But why are we praying for that? Because 5 minutes after we start playing, somebody's ready to throw a punch at somebody.
In fact, you have to pray for that. It says a lot too. Like you should it should be common knowledge. You're going to go play a friendly game of ball. you usually don't want to fight. You don't see it very often. Even in the majors, you don't. I mean, I haven't watched a baseball game in a long time, but it might be like what, one in every 20 matches or even less.
Well,
Maybe?
that's the thing. Like in the NBA, you get fined for fighting, so nobody like they'll act like they're gonna.
Yeah, they put on the show.
Like
And
Joe Ingles, man, I love Joe Ingles just because he's like, oh, I'm gonna throw this punch, and oh yeah, I'm gonna get fined $100,000 if I make contact with you. Whereas there isn't that in church ball.
yeah,
Play street ball in Salt Lake with the gang members because it's more civilized than the people I go to church with.
oh wow, that says a lot.
Ah.
Next, kind of a fun question again is if you could have any superpower, what would it be and how would you use it?
My gosh. Well, I would definitely use it for good, like to help people. And superpower, it wouldn't be mind control because forcing somebody to do something is not good.
Yeah.
Maybe flight. Maybe if I could have a power to persuade people, I think that would be pretty cool. If I was charismatic.
Yeah. But again, would that come into mind control almost?
I don't know. Maybe.
I guess if you're doing it in a way that they still have a choice, then I guess it wouldn't really be mind control.
Yeah. No, they would always have a choice.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Kind of a two-parter one. What would you consider your deepest fear? And what would you consider your most irrational fear?
Might be the same thing, but I am terrified of falling. Like I can go high places.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to fall.
I think that's for anyone.
Like we went on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disneyland and it terrified me because it's all about you being dropped.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I also realized that I'm able to go on rides that take you really high into the air, like the Ferris wheel, because I know that fear is irrational and the chances of the Ferris wheel dropping me are slim to none.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. If it did, there wouldn't be very many.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny. Funny story though. My mom was actually on. I don't know if they have like at the fair that comes to your town, maybe like the Zipper. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Where it's like
sounds familiar.
It basically it's like a long thin ride that spins around, but on it are individual cages that you sit in that also spin around. Okay, yeah. My mom was on that when she was younger, and she tells us this story every year. We go to the fair, like just to scare us, I guess. But she'll be like, she was on it, and she said when she got off, the cage she was on actually fell off as they were getting off, and I'm like, oh, that is scary. Just imagine
at least
that.
she was able to get off. There was a ride at our amusement park that did break.
Oh wow!
Their car fell off the tracks.
Oh, it just scary because you think that a lot of those ones too. They're made quick. Like they're just. I mean, at the same time, they know what they're doing. Well, you hope they know what they're doing because they do it so often. But I've seen too where because I remember, I think we were 16 and we weren't allowed to go anymore because that year on it was something like, it was like the teacups, but it was for adults. I can't remember what it was called. Tilt-A-Whirl maybe? But one of the things, I don't know what you even call them. I'll just call it a teapot for the sake of the conversation. But one of those teapot things came off and actually like decapitated a guy in the fair. And like, I remember we were supposed to go the next day and they shut it down, and our parents were like, "You're never allowed to go again until you're out on your own." And And one of those things where you're like, "Yeah, that's scary," because that was one of my favorite rides. I remember being younger because it's just, I don't know why, it was just one of my favorite rides.
Oh,
God, I wasn't there when that happened. If you could be anywhere other than where you are right now, where would you be, and what would you be looking at?
Like not at home or like not in Utah?
Anywhere you want to be.
Usually like going to the game store.
Yeah.
Just because, it's an escape, but I haven't done that for a while because usually when I go to the game store to work on my projects, it's to get away from my kids. And last time I went there, I ended up babysitting somebody else's kid. And I'm just like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But vacation. We need to go home to the Philippines. My wife hasn't been there for 12 years, so we could do that.
I would love to go visit there. We've been watching, me and my son, what's it called? The Lost or the curse of World War II gold or something like that, where they're trying to find.
That sounds fun.
And well, they're saying there's like over like I can't remember the exact number, but there's like 130 plots all through the Philippines of like hidden treasure that the Japanese hid in World War II, and like people are finding like gold bars and gold Buddhas and stuff all the time. And I'm like, man, it'd be so fun to just go and explore it, and just to get one gold bar, I'd be happy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, but we've been watching a lot of that show recently on the History Channel, and it's just, if you could visit yourself 10 years into the future, what would you ask yourself and why?
Oh, dang. 10 years in the future. I think the only thing I would want to know is if I had opened my business yet. And if I hadn't, why?
Yeah.
Because I feel like 10 years from now should be plenty of time to get the funding and get everything built. And most have enough money to buy Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
Yeah, and that's why it's a goal.
Yeah. Yep. What are 3 qualities or 3 values that you look for in a person when creating a friendship?
I think the biggest thing is how they treat other people, not just who they're friends with, but like everybody. Second would probably be, I like deep conversations. I don't necessarily have to have them all the time, but being able to like know your stuff and actually contribute to a conversation. And I think need them to be there for me as much as I am for them. Yeah. Like, I don't like one-sided friendships where you're giving more than you're getting. Yeah.
It's always nice to receive at least the same amount that you're giving anyway. Because, like you said, then it just becomes one-sided, and then it's almost like they're just using you for or they're mistaking your kindness for a tool for them.
Yeah.
This one here, I really like this question. If you had to pick one, what is the most important value you would teach your children? Honesty, kindness, or courage?
Kindness.
Kindness, yeah. And it's something we
definitely
need so much more in this world.
That's the thing. I think the other two, honesty and courage, would take care of themselves if people were more kind to each other.
Yep, exactly.
Because like those dudes that died in Seattle standing up for somebody, they were definitely courageous because of their kindness.
Oh, definitely. What's one thing that people always misunderstand about you?
Me being who I am.
Being who you are?
Yeah.
And how so, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I don't know. Just like, because I go out of my way to help people. Why do you do that? Why about the things you're passionate about?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is really political sometimes. Said something to me about how I support abortion, and I don't necessarily support abortion. Mm-hmm. Why is it any of my business?
Yeah. Again, it comes back to the whole, if it's not hurting you and it's not hurting them, why let it bother you?
Right. And like, it's not even like we have to fight the laws in Alabama because, okay, maybe abortion is wrong, but the way the law is written is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. You have to, quote unquote, support it, like support abortion. And her stance was as a member of your church. And that's my point of view. Like, as a member of my church, I need to let people do what they do.
Yeah.
Like, it's none of my business.
Yep. Oh, I like that. But yeah, that is pretty much all I got. What I'll get you to do is plug yourself again, plug your podcast. I'll get all the links from you as well at the end, and then I'll link them in the description as well. But I'll get you take this time to plug yourself and share whatever you want to share, Twitter, anything, any links you want to share, really.
Okay, cool. I'll send you the links that I want to share, but you can find me at the Kevin Long SH1 on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook by searching The Kevin Long Show.
Perfect. The Kevin Long Show. So check it out, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Kevin. It's been awesome talking D&D, life, and everything in general. Like, it was genuinely a really good conversation.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, check him out at The Kevin Long Show. You'll find the links in the description. Peace and love, everyone. This concludes another episode of Behind the BS, Behind the Broadcasting Software. Please like and subscribe to be notified when the next episode drops. To find out how you could become a guest on Behind the BS, please email info@behindthebs.net or follow us on Twitter at behind_BS. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Peace and love.